Hi, I'm Alison from Alison's Astrology, and I'm here today to tell you about the astrology from Sunday, 3rd of November to Saturday, the 9th of November, 2024. And the big news on Sunday, the 3rd, is that the Mars-Pluto opposition that I've been talking about, which has been building and building, finally perfects around 10 a.m. So this has been a dynamic aspect between sort of Pluto, the big heavyweight, and Mars, which is in Cancer, that sort of our emotions and drive and kind of protectiveness towards the family and our own people, but also self-protectiveness too, and this powerful force from the outside, really, that's been coming in and contesting that. So this dynamic aspect between these two rulers of Scorpio has been really about power and endurance and survival on physical and emotional levels, and finding the balance in the opposition, the stillness, where you can just kind of level those scales and find the moment is the key to transforming that into something creative. And once the opposition has passed, its energy will immediately begin to dissipate. So there's a release of tension, and we're left then to assess the effects. So it might have been a struggle. So what's left, and how are we feeling? What's changed within us, in fact, and how are we relating to the world around us in a way that's different to how we saw it before? How can we go forward and do things differently, perhaps? So it's worth noting as well then that Mars turns retrograde in December. And so it's going to make two more aspects to Pluto, two more oppositions, firstly in early January and then again in mid-April 2025. So we're not totally done with whatever this struggle was representing yet, but instead of being across Capricorn and Cancer, by that time, Pluto is going to be well into Aquarius. So we're going to have the Leo-Aquarius axis in question. And that's not about land and tribe and family and the structures that we live in. It's not so much about our emotional commitment. In Leo and Aquarius, it's much more about freedom and society and how the individual can contribute and find her own identity within that society. So that's something interesting that, you know, we can watch develop over the next few months. So around the same time on Sunday, Venus completes the opposition to Jupiter that's been building across Sagittarius and Gemini. And we're challenged then to grow and expand our world. And the flowing trine that Venus makes to Chiron adds creativity and understanding to that mix. So in Aries, the Chiron wound is really about our personal agency. Do we have the power that we need and the drive that we need to do what we want to do, to fight, in fact, actually? So do we have the power to act as we wish? Venus in Sagittarius grants us a certain amount of honesty and resilience, helping us to accept and value who we really are. And there's an optimism there too, and it gives us the impetus to carry on with the journey. And probably, actually, we're far from perfect, but we've learned much from the recent new moon in Scorpio and the challenges we've had to overcome. And this is a time now for us to accept ourselves with all our faults. And when Mars moves into Leo on Monday the 4th, we can know that we really deserve the attention that Mars is going to need and demand, in fact. With Mars in the fixed fire sign of Leo, there are now 3 fire planets in fire. And with all that means in terms of warmth and honesty and generosity, fire is inspirational and optimistic. It looks to the future. So there's much reason to hope. And fire, in a sense, knows to take things as it comes as well, because it's a visionary sign, you know, it understands things on an inspirational level, on a level of just gut feeling. So it's kind of moved away from the analytical and the emotional, in a sense. Mars in Leo is putting the focus on us. How do we shine and express ourselves? Leo is a determined and honorable sign, offering its warmth and light to others. So it's like a fire, you know, the fire in the hearth. We light it and we tend it, but then it gives warmth to us. So it's also brave in Leo and maybe just a bit dramatic. But it demands that we stand up and be counted, and also that we accept the limelight, and we stand there and we take that leadership role. And we deserve it. We've just survived, after all, that trial of Pluto in Scorpio. Pluto, the opposition to Pluto with that struggle for power and agency. So now we deserve the attention, and it brings out our best selves too. The last important aspect this week takes place on Saturday, the 9th of November, when Venus, planet of values and love and relationships, is challenged by Neptune. So Neptune's about compassion, but it also tends to diffuse things, sort of makes things feel kind of maybe spiritual, but also sometimes a little bit foggy. And it suggests that maybe our ideals may be at odds with the reality of our relationships, or we might feel challenged to create something perfect, and perhaps compassion is demanded of us, but given reluctantly. We don't really feel like we want to give compassion. But both planets are ruled by Jupiter and Gemini, so there's some kind of understanding between them. So it could be about looking for meaning through just getting information, actually finding out more. Or it could be something even about siblings in Gemini. But where there's challenge, and there is challenge here, we're always pushed to act and maybe to create something more than the two parts offer by themselves. So in Sagittarius, Venus is about faith, optimism, the future, finding that sense of meaning in life. And Neptune's maybe offering something spiritual to add to the mix. And the question really then is whether we see the potential or simply end up confused and distracted. So potentially a creative end to the week. And next week's a big week because we've got the full moon across the Scorpio-Taurus axis, and Saturn is finally turning direct. So we can look forward to more changes to come. Thanks very much. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you again next week.